Okay, so let's talk about something that shows just how different the UK and the US really are. Celebrity culture. Now, I might get in trouble with this one. I don't mean any disrespect to anybody at all, but it's something that I noticed is starkly different between the cultures, and I just really feel like I have to talk about it and put it out there. First question, why do Americans worship their celebrities like they're gods? And why do British people treat fame like it's something to be embarrassed about? From this big media frenzy that's happening right now in the United States, where Taylor Swift got engaged to Travis Kelce, and the tabloid circus that's happening with the Beckham family drama in the UK here. And don't even get me started on all of the random stories about royals that are dropped pretty much hourly here in Britain. I'd really like to just unpack those wild differences on how the US and the UK treat their stars, from the red carpet to the local pub. Celebrity in the United States is basically a religion. In America, the worship is real. Celebs aren't just admired, they're treated like modern day royalty. Taylor Swift is basically the high priestess of American pop culture right now. Kim Kardashian can basically do no wrong no matter what she does. And they're treated as if they have all of the power in the world to make our lives better or worse. All of their comings and goings gets more press coverage than actual political news that affects lives. And in the United States, we tend to turn our celebrities into brands and idols or role models. Talk shows, red carpets, political endorsements. I mean, they're everywhere. Even like presidents of the United States or the candidates for presidents of the United States hang on celebrity coattails in order for more recognition and more exposure to their potential constituents. I find it really, really weird, and it always makes me really unsettled. Why do we worship them like that? It's so weird. Here in the UK, it's basically a national sport to tear celebrities down. British culture has something called tall poppy syndrome. If you rise too high, people will cut you down to size. It is very evident and true here from my experience to British culture over the past 2 decades plus living here, to reaffirm it here in the past 2.5 years. There's this attitude of it's okay that you've achieved some things and that you have some kind of status, but don't get too full of yourself. We will call you on it. Especially if you got to that point, you're a little bit full of yourself and you made some kind of mistake. Even beloved celebs are expected to stay humble and make fun of themselves and never act like they're above the rest. Fame here is more tolerated instead of idolized. And then you factor in the media machine, right? In the United States, outlets like People Magazine or TMZ treat celebrities like they're royalty. They feed into that whole frenzy. They definitely give you that propagandic version of people's lives, how it's so glamorous and it's so wonderful and everybody should just want to be that or aspire to get there someday. Even when they're reporting like mistakes, mishaps, or drama. And there's this weird level of respect even when they make mistakes. Meanwhile, in the UK, tabloids are ruthless. Like they tear people apart. Daily Mail, The Sun, The Mirror, they'll drag you through the mud and then write another story about how you handled being dragged through the mud. Just look at the recent Beckham headlines, right? Everything from family feuds to Nicola Peltz drama and so and they didn't show up at so and so's birthday or whatever. And it's just like, this is probably not something that the public should be involved in. Just saying. But it's dissected as if it's national news, but it's not, in order to revere them or lift them up or band-aid something that might be happening that might discredit or dissolve their fame. It's more like the UK media builds celebrities up just to knock them down. Then we factor in the royal family, which are like the ultimate celebs, really. To Americans, the royal family is just beyond words, which is really ironic considering that our country is founded on the principle to completely repel tyranny and a king and, a monarch system. It's very ironic. Anyway, when they're getting married, everything stops in America as well. When they're having babies, when they're having any kind of visit to the United States, or they're just, having some kind of internal drama, or they make a statement even. It's like a live action fairy tale for Americans. It's ironic as hell. British people, it's a little bit more complicated. And the royals are seen more like public servants than celebrities, and the media is constantly poking at their every move. I don't even know like what's real and what's not sometimes when I see any story about the royal family, and I often have to like do some research if it's something that I even really am interested in knowing about, or that I think affects, the culture or lifestyle or anything personal. But if you look at like Meghan Markle and how she's portrayed in the US. In the United States, Meghan Markle is seen as like a victim of institutional racism and is almost revered a little bit heroically to have like bucked the system or beat the system in some way. But here in the UK, many tabloids paint her as manipulative and decisive and are digging up all kinds of ways to disprove this heroic portrayal of her. So I just feel like that's like a really clear example of the cultural divide of celebrity perception. The issue that I have with the UK news coverage of the royal family is I feel like it could be a bit disingenuous. Like if you have an issue with the monarchy in general, you're not a royalist at all. That almost gives you permission to tear them down at any point that you can, and you're not actually being fair about the facts, or you're letting that whole perspective skew the entire story. So I do feel like that happens here in the UK a bit, but I also, on the conversely, the US media treats the royal family as if they can't do anything wrong, which is definitely not true. So when it comes to things like everyday celebrity reactions, I feel like the United States sees spotting a celebrity like seeing a unicorn or a leprechaun. They like ask for selfies, autographs. Some people get really, really crazy emotional about it to the point where they're like ruining the moment of meeting this person that they admire or that means so much to them. And I've even seen people cry after meeting a YouTuber. No, not me. I know you're surprised at that, right? I'm not saying that they don't deserve to be acknowledged or anything like that. And of course, there's always a fan base that comes along with any kind of time that you put yourself out there on social media or the internet or in the entertainment realm. I just don't understand how you can get that emotional over someone that you've never met. You can have a connection with someone, but I mean, to get to the point where you're hyperventilating when you see them in person or crying, I don't know. That to me just seems crazy. I don't really mind the asking for autographs and selfies thing, but that might be the American version of me. In the UK, I feel like people would more so ignore celebrities in public. I don't know. I feel like there's an unspoken rule of not to make a scene, and that would definitely extend to celebrity interactions on the everyday low. You might share a pub with a famous person and it's not rudeness, it's just British chill, and you're just like, oh look, that's so and so. Maybe you'd like try to take a selfie on the fly with them in the background or something, but I don't see a lot of British people just going up to celebrities and crying and falling at their feet, like begging for a selfie. I just don't see that happening here in Britain. The roast culture. So here in the UK, roasting celebrities is not just common, it's pretty much expected when you hit a certain level of fame or status. Comedy shows go all in on famous people, like no one is safe, and they'll even do it to royalty. Celebrities are mocked for being too rich, too attractive, too successful. It's all fair game. They will probably draw the line at some kind of personal thing, like they won't talk shit about your kids or anything like that I've been familiar with anyways. I've found that they do kind of hold that line, right? Where they will definitely go all in on this person themselves, but they will not talk about their kids, their family, anything like that. In the United States, of course, there's roasts, and they're usually pretty funny in all fairness, but they're very much like everything else in America, which is contrived and controlled and rehearsed and pre-approved and usually hosted by friends. And the participants are also usually on some kind of amicable level with the celebrity to be part of the roast. And American celebrities, I'm just going to say it, can just be more sensitive. Okay, they can. They take themselves so much more seriously, and they definitely think. I don't know if they start to believe that whole godlike complex or something, but in a lot of cases, it is like a story when someone does meet a celebrity in the United States and they're like, "Oh yeah, they're really cool. They're really chill." It was like, "They're a really cool guy." That's a huge story. That's a huge like moment in American culture when there's celebrities like that. It's because we just expect them to be like godlike. It is so weird. But here in the UK, British celebrities definitely feel like being roasted is a badge of honor and are much more eager and willing to laugh at themselves and take the punches. Lastly, I wanted to talk about how the different cultures react to the scandals. I kind of touched on it a little bit when I was saying how some of the mistakes would get glossed over and stuff. In the United States, fans tend to defend their favorite stars, even when all the evidence is right in front of them, which, you know, it's not an indicative cultural trait of the United States of America of late. There is just this like everlasting optimism and hope for the celebrity to have some kind of moment of redemption. You see that even with the president of the United States, Donald Trump. He has been convicted of sexual assault. He has been caught on tape of doing really disgusting things to women. He has been caught talking crap about people. And then you will talk to someone who is a huge fan of his, and they're like, "No, he was just trolling. No, none of that's real. It's all fake news." Did you hear the tape? Did you look at the court case? Some celebrities just cannot do wrong. You hit a certain status, so you don't even have to necessarily be a celebrity. You just have to have enough money or even Congress, members of the government. You hit a certain level and you can't do anything wrong. I know stories of celebrities that literally killed people with their cars and they didn't even get charged. In the UK, one wrong move and everybody will jump on it. You're definitely held to a different standard when you're famous here in the UK, and you have to be much more careful about things that you do and whether or not they get out. Because if they get out, they will very, very quickly flip their personal opinions and public opinion overnight based on that one thing you've done wrong. Whether it's cheating, whether it's scandals, any kind of scandal, legal trouble, or just a poorly timed comment or a poorly worded comment, there is not much room for comeback culture in the UK. British people will definitely give you a lot more props if you've gone down the hill and you've come and worked your way back up again. If you get to that kind of status, I think you have a little bit more play, but it doesn't happen often here in the UK. Usually if you make that wrong move, you're out for life. So while both sides of the Atlantic are pretty much obsessed with fame on one level or another, like everything else, we just show it in extremely different ways. Americans tend to be more extreme. Strange. They idolize celebrities, and British people tend to be a little bit more calculated in how they treat them. More like interrogations rather than idolizing. Whether it's Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, the Beckhams, the royal family, or anybody else out there, celebrity worship tells us a lot about who we are culturally, in my opinion. And it is something that I find kind of refreshing living here in the UK. Because as I said earlier, I never really got the whole obsession with celebrity culture anyway, not at least after I grew out of my mid-teens. Let me ask you, do you think that Americans are too obsessed with fame? Do you think the British have a better take on it? Or do you think Brits are way too cynical and need to take a little bit more of a cue from the people from the States? Just drop me your thoughts in the comments. I hope you stay safe and I'll see you next time. Bye.